Good morning, dear televiewers, and welcome to another edition of our program, Youth Corner. This morning, we shall continue with our document, the Apostolic Letter of Pope John Paul II, published on the 1st of March 1985, titled Dilecti Amici, which is focused on the young persons. We have been joining with this document, and last week we talked about conscience and morality, and today we shall focus on Jesus looking upon the young man. We are continuing with the scripture. Jesus looking upon the young man, he loved him. Before we set the ball rolling, I would like to introduce to you those I have on set this morning. From my left, I have Mr. Tabang David. Mr. David, you are welcome once more to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clovet.
Closest to Mr. David is Madam Epoli Doris. Madam Doris, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, brother.
And to my right, I have Mr. Quine Desmond. Mr. Desmond, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, brother.
Yes. Dear televiewer, these are those who have on set today that we are going to be discussing on this part, which is titled Jesus looking upon the young man, he loved him, from our document Dilecti Amici. We focused on the conscience last week, and we reiterated that the conscience, which is a morality of a human person, is also a morality of the society as a whole. And we also said that to build up yourself as a young person, you must build a firm conscience, one which is not disturbed by ideologies, but one which is based on the truth, that which is good, that which is beautiful. So this morning we shall be looking at Jesus, looking at this young man in the Gospel of Luke chapter 18. And the Holy Father makes mention that he wished that all young persons could get to the commandments and see how to keep it. To get the commandments and see how to keep it, because these are the principles of the conscience. Man Doris, I will begin with you this morning. Jesus, the Holy Father, wishing that all young persons will get a glimpse of the commandments. Do you think that the commandments, I will still go back, are relevant today? And to what extent should the young people hold tight to these commandments?
Thank you very much, brother. The commandments are very much relevant. They have been relevant from the time they were given until date. They are relevant, and they will continue to be relevant even after us. Now, for us as young persons, we know that this is a stage where there's so much happening to us. There's so much noise, there's so much excitedness. Our emotions and our feelings and everything are always extra. If others, if others like those younger than us and those older than us are feeling happy, we are going to feel extra happy. We are always feeling things a little extra than the others in this particular stage. Now, what does that tell us? That tells us that in this particular stage, if others are going out of the Decalogue, we are going to go extra out of the Decalogue. Now, this doesn't mean that we are not supposed to hold on to it. We are definitely supposed to hold on to it. We will definitely hold on to the commandments, which is very important for us to hold on to. But then we need to understand that as youths, present day youth in this present day youth ministry, it is not easy holding on to the commandments. These commandments are actually very important. These commandments are needed for us to live a better life, a life towards attaining salvation, towards attaining eternity with Christ our Savior. However, we as young persons, we are always going to slip and fall. We are always going to. Now, this doesn't give us a right to keep slipping and falling. However, this tells us that as young persons, we are always going to make mistakes. But then, there is the 10 Commandments. There is a Decalogue for us to always refer to always, it's like our own drawing board. Let's always go back to that drawing board, look at it, and look for a way to make our lives better. So yes, brother, we still need the 10 Commandments today as young persons, especially as young persons.
We still need the 10 Commandments today, most especially as young persons, because they give us a pattern to life. They help us to become moral persons. So that's when I will turn to you. Looking at the 10 Commandments, looking at morality, they help us to become moral persons. Do you think being moral as a human person is important? And to what extent should one be moral and to help the community as a whole?
Actually, thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much for that question. I think taking a look at these particular questions, it really hits the society in a very, very, very dangerous way. if you look at our society now, the way we are, it's happening. A lot is happening in our society, and the waywardness. And this is happening due to the fact that we are staying away from the Ten Commandments. I think the Ten Commandments are like represented in itself naturally. And it's just like we can talk about the Cameroon Constitution, which is as a guide to the various people, citizens living in that country. And I think the Ten Commandments are more than even a constitution, because it's a creation of God to us. And the rate at which a lot of things negatively have been happening in the society is because we stay away from these Ten Commandments and wish to do our own particular things. Conscience comes in here as a state of morals, which comes as does. I think with your conscience, it dictates whether you are doing something negative or positively. The conscience really works a lot, and it is from God. It's something built inwardly, which means that it tells you whether this thing is right or it is wrong. And for the fact that we have decided to choose more of negative conscience, it is where a lot of these things comes in our society, that we face a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties as young people, in church, out of church, in the society, in our villages, in our cultures, and just to name a few. I think if you look in these various sides in our world, we face a lot of this due to the absence of the Ten Commandments in our lives, due to the absence of moral. I think the church comes into play a very vital role in these morals. The church is as one of the outstanding examples throughout the world, which instantly call for morals and a good way of living in the society. I say the church is like a mother world to each and every youth. And if we really, I think, brother, it is very, very important. Morals is very, very important in our society. And I wish if we implement, it will really make a way to bring us good.
Morals are very vital in the society. And if we live according to the morals, then it is going to better our society. It's going to better us as individuals. Because it is very much important that we start with the self and journey out of the self. Because the self, knowing the self, is very vital in living in the world. Mr. David, I will turn to you now. Looking at the Ten Commandments, we have said it helps us and give us a way of life which is morally upright, morally balanced. Do you think that being morally balanced, you can strengthen the family, the society, the church, the community as a whole?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Clovet. And I would like to say that morality is one aspect that tends to give you the opportunity you need in the society. Now, morality cannot just keep the family and move straight to the society. Now, at the level of the family, when you build that morals, from there you're able to build or maintain that same morals in the society. And in the absence of morals in an individual, or let's take for example, the absence of morals in a youth, automatically, you as a youth, you cannot place yourself in any society. When you talk about morals, it simply talks about the positive behavior that you show out there. And the positive behavior get across your ways of life or your various ways of life. If you're a Christian, what type of moral do you portray? Do you practice what is there? And looking at the Ten Commandments, it is just a guide. And what are those guides? Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. Now, if we walk in line with these principles, we see that as youths, we tend to build a strong morals. Morality is not only applied just in Christianity. Like I said earlier, it also targets your society. As a person, if you are a worker, if you have that bad morals, you talk rudely to your employer or to your fellow employees, what happens? You tend to deviate or limit yourself within the society. So the strong message is that youths out there should work on their morals. And how can you work on your morals? It's simple. You base your trust on the Ten Commandments, which has been laid down by Christ himself. You work on what? Other principles. You pray, you get guidance and counseling. With all these factors put in place, I think an individual or a youth will be able to be a strong moral upbringing. And by so doing, you always find yourself worthy to be fit amongst people in the society.
You always find yourself worthy and fitting in the society. We are morally balanced. And so morality plays a central role in our community, because being moral is a means of contributing to the family, to the society, to the community, to your own profession, to culture, to politics, and above all to the church, which is a community of believers. So morality is central in our lives as human persons, and this morality helps us to understand our authenticity, which is whether male or female. We come to understand that we are persons and we are individuals with an interior world whereby we go out to work with others and for others. And so morality helps us to create a balance. They always say virtue lies in the middle. And so morality helps us to stay in the middle, to understand that we as humans, even though we have our own needs, our own wants, we have others that we have to care for them and to see how to live for them, because we are treasures, as the Holy Father made mention in paragraph 1, where he was talking about the young person being treasure of tomorrow, of the future. And so I will go back to you, Mr. David. I'll come back to you, Mr. David. Looking at the commandments, Christ says we'll go round with the commandment and we come back to the commandment of love. Commandment of love. What can you say about this? It says Jesus looking at this young man, he loved him. What can you say about this?
Well, Jesus looking at him and love him simply talks about the unconditional love of Christ, and even goes beyond the physical love. Because when Christ said, when he looked at the young man, given the fact that he was rich, he was not just looking at him physically, but he was looking at that unconditional love. And this can be traced with Christ himself giving up his life on the cross. So love is something that you cannot give if it is not built or built within you. And I think the commandment of love is the greatest amongst all. Love yourself, love one another, and by so doing, Christianity is achieved. So the commandment of love is something most youths out there have misinterpreted, if I can put it that way, and they tend to put in more of the erotic aspect of love. But we are here to say that the commandment of love talks about the Christianity love, and which goes a long way to look at others just as you look yourself. And by so doing, you will tend to shape, with the help of morality, you tend to shape the way you behave towards one another.
Okay, thank you, Mr. David. I will turn to you now, Mr. Desmond. Love plays a central role in our very nature as human persons. And so if love is at the center, we have God and we have our neighbor. Should we, who are persons of love, emanate or give out this love to God and to our neighbors?
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. Sometimes when they pronounce the word love, it beats an imagination to me, because if truly we could look at the significance of love to our lives, Jesus is an outstanding example, a lamb to all. I think that love plays a very vital role in our society, not only in our society, but from our personal selves to each other. Jesus looked upon the boy with love, and that is why he did what he did. I think getting back to us, many times I say it is the absence of love that causes a lot of the chaos in our society, whether we are leaders from the government sector, from private sectors, from the church, or wherever we find ourselves in our families. I think a lot of enmity and the occurrences in the negative way comes as a result of the absence of love. With love, everything can be built. The commandments, taking a look at the commandments, to the ending point, it says, above all, love conquers. How does that love conquers? And many times, some of us young people out there, we think that I love you is a way that I should just place you in all that you want. I think that there are many ways for me to show that I love you. For instance, a father gets up today and said that, please, I've been giving you money to go to school, I'll be giving you money to do this one, but right now, I am not in possession of money. Please, can you just try your best, trek to the road or trek to somewhere? For a young person, you start thinking like your father don't love you, or sometimes when your father said, I don't have an allowance to give you, or sometimes your father said, in this year, I don't really have money to make up your needs. But start off somewhere. As we go along, we will see how God will provide. You tend sometimes to think that your father is not treating you well. Sometimes your father gives you rules not to get out of the house at this time, not to come back late, not to partake with this so and so friend. But at the end of the day, those are still coming in like the 10 Commandments. Because I think that the 10 Commandments were deported down to our families. Our parents play a role of God in our lives here. Because even the Bible is making it clear, our parents here on earth represent God from heaven to earth. So if our parents are giving us certain rules to stand by, then we are kicking against it. We don't, at that time, things that our father they don't love us. Which we don't, most of us young people, like I quoted before, we just think that love is placing you in all, giving you what you want. But looking at certain things in life, with love you can conquer everything. And some of us think that with love brings happiness in a way that you find what you have. But if you observe several times, you will see that love comes with passion. Like Pope Benedict XVI in one of his presentations celebrating the World Youth Day in Florida, he said in one quote to the youths, either you work hard to keep your future or you work hard to lose it. And in which way do you work out? Following the passion of Christ. I think that Christ's love was given as an example. Why? He perished, he suffered, he was assaulted, he was insulted, he was crowned with thorns, he suffered. All of us saw it, not only I alone. So in this way, if we copy the love of Christ, we can make it out. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you very much, Mr. Desmond. Christ suffered. Mr. Desmond used a very personal example about the father and the son. Father telling the son he does not have this particular thing to give at the moment. Today, we are celebrating the solemnity of Saint Joseph, where we see the unconditional love of Joseph towards the baby Jesus or towards the boy Jesus. So love itself conquers. Madam Douglas, I will turn to you. Looking at our society today and the word love, I am tempted to say these two terms do not coincide because the word love has been deconstructed by our society today into something we don't know. So what can you say about this?
Thank you very much, brother. Like you said, the word love has been deconstructed into something we do not know. Now, the thing is, the word love it's actually a very good thing. It's a very good thing. Love itself is good. Love itself is something we should be practiced. Love itself is love that Christ has given to us, and we are supposed to give it to our brothers and sisters, both in the youth ministry and out of the youth ministry, in our families, everywhere we find ourselves. However, especially as young persons, we have turned the word love into something else. We no longer present the natural definition of love as it should be. As young persons, most especially, this doesn't mean that this doesn't confine us just to young persons, because adults and even people younger than us do things that are not correct in the name of love. But then for us as young persons, I think that, like I said, we always do things extra. If adults are going out of the confines of the natural love that God has provided for us, we youths are going extra. We're going an extra mile out of those confines. Why do we do these things? It's because we do not have an exact definition of love. We do not really understand what love is. We do not get that love that Christ was telling us about. We cannot differentiate between agape, erotic, filial, and all those kinds of love. To us, every love, to most of us, every love is erotic love. To most of us, every love is lustful love. As young persons, we just think that probably if you see someone, as young persons, it's very normal. You can see someone, you get the butterflies for that person, and to you, you love that person. To you, you understand that that person already, your love, and then you can begin to, and then that love is not even the love that you're supposed to love. It becomes erotic love. And then what makes it worse is that we do not just end in the word love. We start practicing what we think is love. Now, we are not just ending the fact that, oh, this is just verbal, I love you, no. We start doing things that we think is love, because we know that, because Christ, like he said, Christ looked upon the young man with love. Christ has shown us that he loves us. Like the Holy Father says, Christ went above and beyond to show us that he loves us by dying on the cross for us. He just made us to know that that is the real death of love. He has done that. That was action. He did not just say it. he did actions to prove his love to us. Now we as young persons too, we want to prove our love with actions. But then what do? We now deconstruct that love. We now use actions which are out of the confines of the normal actions, by doing actions which are not necessarily healthy and good for us as young persons. Now what is the thing that we can really do? I think that we as young persons, we need to go back to the drawing board again, to the Decalogue, to the 10 Commandments. We need to go back to the Word. We need to have programs like we are having now, doctrines, youth meetings, youth gatherings, even teachings at home, to tell us, to teach us, to try to separate that erotic love from filial love, that erotic love from agape love, that erotic love from the love that Christ is talking about. Because the love that Christ is teaching us is not the love that we think we are practicing. And I would like to say that most young persons these days, they are very, let me use the word manipulative. They try to manipulate the love of Christ to convince or to manipulate other young persons to believe that the love that they are showing them is the love that Christ has shown. Which the love they are showing is definitely not the love Christ has shown, because that love is destructive. That love is the love that will lead them to the wrong path. So I'd like to say that, brother, we as young persons and we as the society at large, we need to go back to the drawing board, have programs like this, do things that will help to build back the knowledge of the original love that Christ was talking of, that Christ taught us from the very word go.
We need to go back to the originality of the word love, because the word love has been deconstructed as we see today in our world. And so Christ tells us, or the Holy Father tells us, that love, which can also be seen as charity, helps us to become fully mature human persons when we tend to share this love with one another and with our neighbor. God stands at the center of everything, and our neighbor are the closest to us is our neighbor, and above or in us is God. And so we need to share this love with God and with our neighbor that we see. The first letter of St. John tells us that if you claim you love God without loving your neighbor, then that is no love. So it is better that we love our neighbors, and through our neighbors we tend to love God. And so the Holy Father goes ahead to see our path of youth should lead us to Christ, who is at the center of everything. Well, Desmond, our path of youth should lead us to Christ, who is at the center of everything, because our conscience, the evangelical code or the 10 Commandments, is built up on love, and love is Christ. What can you say about this?
Actually, I'll still take a few back on my words, because when we say several times, we talk about this very conscience and building it in us as representatives of Christ. We look into it, conscience, as a tool of indicating where there is a wrong and there's a right. And Christ stands as to be an example of what we are following today. And Christ is calling us to be a tool of that wherever we are. Apart from Christ, we are representatives. And we should be able to take down the conscience and help our brothers and sisters out there in the society and wherever they are to flow. And for you to there are some qualities to see into it, representing yourself in the society. I think to be a person of good morals, we must try to have principles. We must try to have conscience, inspiration, trust. We need to be credible. That is what the church needs in our community, in our culture, and in our society. I think doing this, it will really help us a long way to build our society as Christ has sent us to be his representatives. Thank you, brother.
As Christ has sent us as his representative, we need to ensure that we trust. We put into place trust. And so, Mr. David, I will come to you. The Holy Father says that in living the 10 Commandments, we become enlightened by how we do it. For example, they say, some people will say, do what I do and not, do what I say and not what I do. Do you think this particular slogan, is it correct?
Do what I say, don't do what I do. I think it's a popular slogan that has been used, but taking you back to morality and conscience, You cannot tell someone or a youth that stop smoking, whereas you're smoking. So you're preaching something correct, but your action is contradicting it. So I think the statement or the phrase, do what I say, don't do what I do, should be looked upon with morality and good conscience. Because the Ten Commandments always serves as a guide, and it will always serve as a guide till the end of this time. And if it serves as a guide, then why can we not rephrase that statement that do what I say, don't do what I do? Because if we look at the Ten Commandments, it gives you directives on how you should live your life as an individual or a youth. And if you tend to live your life just by talking and your actions are contradicting, then I think there is a problem. And what can be the cause of that problem is when you lack that morals. Is when you don't pay much attention to the commandments Christ has laid down to us. So I think the statement should be rephrased, brother. And it is something most people know out there, but with a good conscience and a good morals, you are able to do what? To practice what you preach. And by practicing what you preach, you tend to do what? You tend to pull more souls for Christ. So as young persons, we should try as much as possible to be able to reflect with our actions what we say or what we preach towards one another.
We should be able to reflect what we say. I would like to quote a philosopher here, Immanuel Kant, one of the greatest philosophers, had it as a quote or a law. He called it the categorical imperative. What does it say? It says, you should do what you think if it is done back to you, you're going to be fine with it. For example, if you are ready to hurt somebody, then you should be ready to accept hurt when it comes your way. Which I will also say it is a law of karma. Law of karma. So anything that goes out of you, you should be ready to receive it back to you. And so we should see how as young people, to be people who preach with our actions but not our words. Yes, because our words sometimes they will deceive us, but our actions paint a picture of who we are. But I will come to you. Jesus, looking at this young man, he loved him. How can we come to experience this love of Christ? The love of Christ. He says, Jesus looking at this young man, he loved him. How can we come to experience this love of Christ, or this gaze, or this look of Christ as young persons?
As young persons, brother, the way we can experience this love of Christ, first of all, I need us to understand that Christ is in the next person. Christ is in you, Christ is in Brother Desmond, Christ is in Brother David. So let me try to put it this other way. How can I experience this love of Brother David? How can I experience this love of Brother Cleveland? How can I experience this love of Brother Desmond? Now, the way is, I have to treat you, Brother Cleveland, the way I would treat Christ if Christ were the one standing in front of me. I have to treat my fellow brothers and sisters in the youth ministry the way I would treat Christ, the way if Christ were the one standing in front of me. Because as we all know, we are all created in the image and likeness of God. We are all Christ-like. We all are Christ representatives here on earth. Now, we have to experience that love that Christ gave to them, and that gaze, that look. First things first, we have to learn to love one another. Because there is no need saying that you love Christ, you want to experience the gaze and the love of Christ, and you do not love your neighbor. You're contradicting yourself, because the Holy Father makes mention, he says that the commandment of love opens the human person to God and neighbor. This commandment of love, this gaze, this look, it opens us to God and to our neighbors. He doesn't just mention God, he mentions God and our neighbors. Meaning that if we are hoping to get that gaze, that look, that feeling of Christ in our lives, we have to get it from God and our neighbors. Now, we are not seeing Christ. We are not seeing God. The person we are seeing here on earth is our neighbors. We are seeing the brothers and sisters in the youth ministry. We are seeing our friends and family. We are seeing our classmates. We are seeing the orphans. We are seeing the handicapped. We are seeing the homeless. We are seeing the sick. We are seeing the hungry. Now, how can you experience that gaze? And how can you make your brother and sister to experience that gaze? By showing love to those around us, by showing peace, by extending a hand of friendship, of fellowship, by being generous to our brothers and sisters around us. That way we can feel that this is the love of Christ. Our brothers and sisters around us too will feel the love and the grace of Christ. Indeed, when you show love to your neighbor, they are going to feel that indeed Christ really exists. They are going to feel that yes, Christ is with me. Yes, Christ sees me. Because there is no need of not showing love to your neighbor. That neighbor will not really see, like for example, us in the youth ministry, if we really want to, because every day we keep encouraging ourselves to get more souls, more youth to come into the youth ministry. Now, how are we going to get them? By doing the things that Christ has asked us to do, by being nice to them, by inviting them for our meetings, by inviting them for our rallies, by doing things that are Christ-like. Now, that way, our neighbors will see that indeed Christ has not abandoned me. Christ is seeing me, and Christ wants me to be with him. Meaning that if today I show love to Brother David is going to see that yes, Christ is gazing upon him through me, Sister Doris. And if Brother David to show love to me, Sister Doris, I'm going to see that yes, Christ, I'm going to feel that gaze of Christ. We need to learn to be generous, brother. We need to learn to give, because the Holy Father says charity is the bond of perfection. We need to learn to forgive. We need to learn to understand. We need to listen, not just to listen, but listen attentively, listen keenly. These little things that we do, some of us overlook these things, but these things are the ways that our neighbors are seeing the gaze of Christ. And we too, as we are doing these things, we too feel the gaze of Christ, because we feel like through us, Christ is doing things. And if Christ were not gazing upon us, he will not be doing those things through us.
Through us, Christ works in his own marvelous and wonderful way. So that's why I'll turn to you once more. Looking at Christ, looking at this young man, does this look come in a community? Do we all experience it at a particular time?
Thank you very much, brother, for such an opportunity again. Christ looking at this young man with love. In our society, I think it's really, really, really difficult. But I want to thank all who try their best to see that this very love from Christ is transmitted to their next brothers and sisters. I think the reason we are present here today on the panel, my sister, Sister Doris, sister, my brother, is because we have love for ourselves. I think if not of love, we should not have been gathered here today in this place. And so too, we are sending ourselves back to the society. She has mentioned something which is very important, seeing the love in others. I think this particular book is writing too much of ourselves, young people. Where are we going to? We cannot do the best inside the church. We cannot do the best inside our community. We cannot do the best in our society without practicing this love, without transmitting this love in others. I take, for instance, I want to take an example of the upcoming retreat for YCW in the Diocese of Boya. What are you doing to share this love to the next person? What can you do? One, I need to sensitize. I need to help the next person to know that this is coming up. It is a spiritual activity. I think love is built with a spiritual foundation. What should I do along? I need to encourage one another to be for that particular retreat. I need to start sensitizing now, because love is shown through our evangelism, preaching the gospel. And now the gospel is all about love. What do I preach? What do I transmit to the next person? It's because I love you. That is the reason I'll come to you to talk about love. So Christ loved this boy. That was why Christ came to him. In many instances in the Bible, we even see it there. Christ calling Matthew. Christ talking about a prodigal son. The father receiving back the prodigal son in love. The prodigal son did the worst by getting out, not taking care of the father's properties, wasting it, and the rest. But the father, with love, still welcome back that particular child who was missing. And Christ is calling on us on the lost sheep. What does he say? Abandon the 99. Go after the one lost sheep, to show that Christ's love is deep. And that's the reason why he died on the cross. So if we help ourselves to transmit that very love to the society, is by doing these various things I've said, brother, I think our society will be a better place. Thank you.
It is in transmitting this love that we help to be our society to become a better place. And so, looking at this love, we experience it at a personal level. It is something of very much personality. At your own little corner, you experience it. Whether being when you are suffering, when you are pure of conscience, like a rich man this young man in the Bible, when you are facing an opposite situation, or even in a remote conscience, Christ still comes to you. So this loving gaze, this looking upon us with love, comes to us at a very personal level. And the whole of love is synthesized in the gospel, as that Desmond has mentioned this morning. And it is a summary of the good news. We can trace it far back as the book of Genesis, where after creating man and woman, God looked at them and he saw that what he made was good. I would like to end this first segment of our program with the words of the Holy Father, where he says, I wish all young persons could experience this loving gaze or this loving look of Christ. It is our wish in our little corner as young persons, or as individuals, even adults, we all experience the loving look of Christ. Dear televiewers, after this musical break, we shall bring it to you activities carried out by the young persons in our diocese. Welcome back, dear televiewers, from that musical break. Just now we shall be bringing to you images from Munyadineri, where the Diocesan Youth Council visited Munyadineri on Saturday the 15th of March and Sunday the 16th of March. We shall be seen from the highlights. On Saturday, we had a meeting and some entertaining activities. And during the meeting, we came in contact with the reports from the different groups, that is the altar servers, the cadets of Mary, the YCS, the CYC, and as well the YCW, because Munyadineri has all the 5 apostolic groups there in that deanery. And so from the report, we got to notice that the deanery is active, except for a few challenges, as we shall be getting from the interviews, whereby we spoke with a few persons. As you can see from the Holy Mass, the young persons animated the Mass and the special offertory. And likewise, since it was also the second Sunday of Lent, whereby the youth collection was being made, the young persons took charge of that. And after the meeting on Sunday, we met with the person of Reverend Father Anselm KB, who is the Diocesan Youth Chaplain, and he shared with us a highlight from the meeting from Munyadineri.
Father Anselm KB, the Diocesan Youth Chaplain. We are here for a 2 days visit to Munyadineri to visit the youth and to see how the youth activities are moving in this deanery. The 5 parishes of My 14, My 16, Bumaka, Munya, and St. John Paul II, Ekuna, have all been represented here for these 2 days of visit. And I really want to thank the youth for showing up. And our message is just that we keep encouraging them to make the efforts. They have stated to us their activities that they have been carrying out for the past 2 years, and also their challenges they have been facing at the various parish levels, and also as a deanery. So we are here, first of all, to encourage them to make sure that they don't give up hope, especially now that this year we are celebrating the year of hope. They should not give up hope despite the challenges, and also they should be evangelizers as young people to their faith, like Paul told Timothy that he should fan into flame the gift that was given to him on the day that Paul laid his hands on Timothy. So we keep encouraging the young people to use their gifts and talents to continue to work for the church and to promote the gospel, and to also draw their brothers and sisters who are still behind to see that they also are part and parcel of the youth ministry. So I really want to thank them for their sacrifices, and all we can say is that we can continue to hope for a better youth federation in our diocese and here in Munya Dineri in particular. I want to thank all the priests who are working with them, and we keep encouraging them too that they will continue to put in the effort to see that our young people are better. They know their faith better. They can defend their faith wherever they find themselves because they are a true future of the church. And we wish that they will continue to stand firm to make sure that the gospel is spread to the ends of the earth.
My name is Former Leonard, the Assistant Council President of Buya, and I'm from All Saints Parish, Mutengene. And we are here presently at St. Andrew's Parish, Munya, for a 2 days working visit by the Youth Office to see how far we can enhance and foster youth collaboration and innovation here in this deanery. So it's a normal tradition within the course of the year, that the office steps out and visits these peripheries of the youth arm to see how far we can put together strategies and ideas to foster youth engagement at this level. And so the visit started yesterday, Saturday the 16th, and today we are running up. We began with the Holy Mass today, and right now we are running up with the deliberations for the day 2. And so some of the resolutions which we've managed to arrive at is that firstly, we are going to see how to give the kind of financial support to the various deaneries. This is going to come at the end of a leaders meeting which is scheduled at the end of this month. The date has not yet been chosen, but God willing, by this week we're going to choose that date. So during that meeting, we're going to come to a consensus on how far this is going to be done, and we're going to make the necessary plea at the level of the bishop's house to see how far finances can be allocated for deaneries to begin their yearly program. And also, resolution 2 is that youth are supposed to be engaged in activities that will make them self-reliant and to desist from the traditional second basket collection and appeals to parents and well-wishers to give them financial support. And we are trying to do this so much such that tomorrow, when they grow to become independent, they will be able to fend for themselves. We know how the state of our nation is right now. We need to work to see how far we can survive. And so the church is not also left aside, and we too at the youth arm are not also left aside to continue encouraging them. And thirdly is the fact that youth, they should try and belong to an apostolate, because in the apostolate they are going to develop so many things which they don't know about themselves. We are working in close collaboration with the pastoral office as we speak, and there are a lot of beautiful programs which are youth oriented, which is forthcoming. And these are some of the resolutions that we've managed to arrive at, and to see that subsequent visits which we are already planning for is that for the Moliko Deanery, which is scheduled for April come next month.
I am the Deanery Youth President of Munya Dineri. The visit has been a wonderful one. These 2 days we have expressed ourselves, share ideas, and look for way forward. Their coming was just timely. You know, when your father comes like that, you are satisfied to share and discuss, and knowing that whatsoever you have discussed will be heard and a good solution will be given. And we're already seeing and having the solution. We say thank the diocese so much for coming. Thank them for their ideas. Thank them for your gift that they have come to share. You know, if somebody does not like you, he will not leave his comfort zone, come to your house, so that to see what is disturbing you. We have shared our mind, they have given us solution, and we are satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome back from Munya Dineri. Mr. Desmond, I will turn to you. You were present for that meeting. What is your own personal feeling at the end of the 2 days visit to Munya Dineri? I think you were very much present for the first and the second day. So what are your personal feelings towards the diocese coming to Munya Dineri?
I want to first of all say shout out there to my diocesan chaplain, Father Kebi Aslem. I want to say also shout out to the diocesan president. I want to say shout out to our Dineri president in the name of Sarah Kwam. I want to say a big shout out to our Dineri chaplain. I said it was wonderful. I must say from the first day we welcomed the diocesan team to the Dineri. I think it was wonderful. The welcoming and the outcome of the youth shows that they were really prepared to air out their minds, their worries, express their feelings, and so we're very happy to welcome the diocesan team. I think I was present and it was wonderful because even I myself, I was very happy because for a very long time I've not encountered the diocese coming to my deanery. I always meet them out there in Bishop Rugan and the rest. But they came to our view, they came to our head, they came to our calling. We're so happy to welcome them. And I think we aired out our mind during the process. I think we laid a lot of complaints we had, a lot of worries we had within us. I think it was a happy moment, spending a moment with the diocese, coming to see us, to listen to our worries, to talk to us physically, face to face. I think it was wonderful, brother. So I wish such an encounter, we should have it more and more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, then, Mr. Desmond, for sharing with us your feelings after the visit. You wish that they could come frequently, but time would be a factor that it is not our own. We have other deaneries to also touch as well. We shall be taking you to Tiko Deanery, where we shall be going to Modeka, St. Peter the Apostle Parish, Modeka, where we had a deanery meeting in the presence of the deanery youth chaplain, person of Reverend Father Fima, and the meeting was elaborate and massively attended, as we see from the highlights we have on the screen there. And in the course of the meeting, they had the personal points that they discussed, and they touched on the deanery, focusing on the 75th anniversary, focusing on the Youth Week celebration. I think that was one of the points there, and participation and bringing it together of young persons in that deanery. And after the meeting, we met with a few persons. Firstly, we met with the deanery youth chaplain, the first person of Reverend Father Fima, and also the deanery youth vice president, whereby they shared with us a little from the meeting whereby we had in Tiko Deanery.
Reverend Father Fimba Onyakos, MSP, the Tiko Deanery Youth Chaplain. Today we had our first deanery meeting in Modeka, St. Peter the Apostle, Modeka, and it was really a successful one. The population was encouraging, and I wish to thank all my brothers and sisters, those that came for the meeting. Thank them very well for their efforts and their sacrifices to see to the success of this meeting today. Especially our President Roland in absentia, who lost his brother, and we pray that his soul may continue to rest in the bosom of the Lord. And thank the Vice President, Mrs. Doris, for all her efforts. And for all of us, we keep on encouraging each other. The youth ministry is a beautiful ministry, and we pray that God will continue to bless us and give us the courage that we need to move this ministry forward through Christ our Lord.
My name is Sekuli Bonja Doris from Christ the King Parish, Mobange Tiko, and the Tiko Deanery Youth Vice President. We are gathered here today at St. Peter the Apostle Parish, Modeka, for our first Tiko Deanery Youth General Meeting of the year 2025. I must say this meeting there was very encouraging because the outcome, the participation, the number of youths that we saw today, we least expected that. So I must say it was really encouraging. We have listened to the parishes, listened to everyone. They gave their contributions, gave their feedbacks, gave their remarks. We have taken all of that into consideration, and we have we shall look at it as an ESCO, how we can make our deanery grow forward. We want to give a special thank you to the curate of St. Peter the Apostle Parish, Modeka, to our deanery chaplain, Father Fimba, who is always there for us, and for all the youths who are here present. Thank you all very much for coming. I must say this meeting was a very successful one, and we pray that this deanery will be the best deanery in the Diocese of Buea.
He wants to encourage all the young persons over there in Tiko Deanery. And as Father Fima said, the youth ministry is a wonderful ministry. Do not regret belonging to this ministry, because it is indeed a wonderful ministry. Dear televiewers, we have come to the end of our program. But before we go, we want to thank Mr. David for joining us in today's edition of the program. Mr. David, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Brother Clover. It has always been an opportunity, and I want to say I'm open for subsequent editions of this same program.
We want to also thank Madame Doris for always being there. Madame Doris, we say thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you for always having me. And I would just like to quickly mention the happy feast of the Solemnity of St. Joseph, because especially to the Christians of the St. Joseph SCC of Christ the King Parish, Movangetiko, because that is my SCC.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Desmond, for joining us in today's edition of the program.
Thank you very much, brother. I'm happy to be here today, meeting you on the stage. I'm so happy, and I wish I can be here time and again. And also, just to go out, I want to say out there to the youth, please don't say the statement, I am not a youth. Come back to the youth ministry, and you'll not regret in any of stages of your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining me today, dear televiewers. We have come to the end of our program. For presentation, I have remained Clivet Atwo. Behind the camera, we have Brother Tasang Ambrose. And we want to also thank the Bishop of the Diocese of Buea, the person of His Right Reverend Mike Ebibi, and the acting station manager, the person of Mr. Jude Baku. From my end to yours, it is bye-bye for now.